Hey guys, welcome to today's video. Today we're with Shane Flanagan from Sanders Real Estate and we're talking about everything property and sales.
Thanks Nathan, pleasure to be here. Let's get into it.
Let's go. Hey guys, welcome back. So introduction to Shane Flanagan, Sanders Real Estate. And Shane, hey, look, tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, thanks again for having me. So I've been in real estate for 10 years now, all at Sanders Property Agents, coming straight out of school, and it's a good stepping stone. You start as a kind of a sales, helping with contracts, signboards, and then I did property management for a few years to help get a grounding of, I suppose, dealing with the owners and the ups and downs that tenants have with repairs and things like that, managing those properties, and then progressed into sales, which I've been doing for about 5-6 years now, which has been really exciting, seeing the ups and downs of the property market in the Sutherland Shire, but mainly ups at the moment.
Yeah. No, look, I've actually known Shane now for, I think, might be close to 10 years as well. So we've actually been going to the same gym, but I've really sort of been able to grow with Shane and see what a professional he is, and just definitely someone you can trust. And that's why, you know, I've had you here today to sort of just tell us everything about property and sales and what we need to know. So just jumping straight into it, and I think a big question a lot of people ask when they're looking to buy or use an agent to sell a property, but what should they look for when they're selling property?
Yeah, it's definitely a good question, and when it comes to selling your home, it could be your biggest asset, and you've really got one good opportunity to get that best price. And if it's your principal place of residence, not paying tax and getting every last dollar out of that sale for you to move on to your next plan, most people will look to interview maybe 2 to 3 agents just to get a bit of a variation, or if you've got a relationship with an agent that might have helped you previously, and that's where a lot of my contacts come from. I might have helped them buy 5-6 years ago, and then it comes time when they're looking to upsize or move out of Sydney or just have a change in their circumstance to sell the property. But when it comes to looking for an agent, most owners will say, oh, what's the price that the property is going to sell for, getting a bit of a range there. What process would you recommend? So whether it's auction or private treaty. What are your fees, of course, for your commission and your marketing costs, and some other things is how long would it take to sell the property. I would be asking agents what's their auction clearance rate, just to get a gauge of where they're at. Most people will look at kind of who's selling what in the area. I think it's always beneficial if you're looking or selling in the Sutherland Shire using an agent that's in the Shire. They've got better experience of that property market in that area. But yeah, interviewing the agents, getting a feel for them, and how would you be comfortable with them meeting the buyers at the front door, doing that negotiation process for you, and kind of running you through that, whether it be an auction or private treaty, that process from start to finish.
And I guess just to add to that as well, like when you are selling a property, like you're selling your major asset, like this is like the biggest asset you hold. So it's really like that stuff that you've just listed. It's just all so important, and you just don't. There's a lot of trust in it, isn't there? A lot of trust in finding that right agent.
Definitely, and I think it comes down to not selecting an agent on price or fees. It's really the process that they can put into place could make you a lot more money than a difference in a small fee. So it's really who you're comfortable with and who you think's going to do the best job for you.
Because I've always said, I mean, obviously I don't have a license to sell, but ultimately, yeah, sure, I could go and sell any property I want to as well if I had the license, right? But I guess the reality is, who's going to get the better price? Me or someone like yourself? So...
And definitely knowing the market, the buyers that are out there, whether they've missed out on some other properties, what they've went to on those properties, and I suppose matching those buyers, which I've always had a lot of interest in, knowing what they're after and then finding that property for them, and knowing that, helping them secure their dream home.
So... When I was a kid, I used to always, get told I used to hear conversation with the parents and family and stuff like that, the old ones, the old people, not old people, like, sorry, Dad. But people would say, like, I used to often hear, like, spring's when you want to sell. You don't ever want to, sell any other time, like spring, when it's warm and the flowers are coming out. Like, let's debunk that, because we've got winter coming up. It's just around the corner. Like, should you be waiting till September, or is it a good time to sell now? Like, is winter a horrible time?
It's a really good question because it comes up a lot. Like, when do we put our place on the market? We obviously want to get the best price. When I first got into real estate 10 years ago, you used to see all the DL flyers, spring has sprung. And I think it was just a marketing tool for agents. Like, obviously at the time the gardens are looking nice, but if everyone puts their property on the market at that same time, then the buyers are going to split between the properties. I think the best time to sell when there is least on the market, because then you've got buyers competing for your property versus properties competing for the buyers. So typically winter, there's probably less properties. You usually have February is quite a busy listing where more will come on, and then after Easter, and then winter's a little bit quiet, and then you've got kind of 2 springs which happen. With last year and COVID, it kind of just remained steady. There wasn't a lot of new listings coming on the market, and that's similar to where we're at the moment, where January, February was really slow with new properties coming on, and there was a lot of buyers, so that's where we've seen prices increase. It'll be interesting to see whether more do come to market and it steadies out. But I think it really comes down to the right timing for you, whether you've outgrown your property and you need to get into something bigger because you've got another baby on the way, or you might have found a dream property that you've always had your eye on. So it's all dependent on someone's situation, but that's something that I'll go through in a meeting and understand what's suited for them and kind of go through that process.
I guess typically speaking, I mean, like, a buyer's not going to say, hey, it's winter, I'm just not going to go out and venture. And, I guess there's essentially, if you discount back just that Christmas period, 11 months of the year where I think people are always going to be thinking about, I want to buy, I'm in the market now. They're not going to just stop for 6 months because it's cold or too hot or whatever.
We tend to see January a bit of a peak because there's nothing new comes on over Christmas, like solicitors, conveyancers go on holidays, real estate's usually closed for a couple of weeks, so not a lot of new things come on as people are with their families. And then all these buyers that are carried over from December, all the new buyers that have been sitting there in Christmas going, okay, well, maybe it's time to get a new house. There's a big rush of kind of buyers looking at those first initial properties that hit the market.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess, I think a lot of people are going to be watching this video. It would be, property owners, or especially investors in particular. But and the one question I've asked in the past when I have sold properties is, should I update the bathrooms or should I update the kitchen? What should I do to present the property? Yeah,
definitely. You don't want to overcapitalise. There's definitely things when it comes to presentation. A really well presented property is going to help get a premium price, so we always work through that. And it might be if you've had it rented for 5 years, the carpet was looking quite tired, or the paint, it could just have a bit of a freshen up. Things like that can always help. If you're living in it as your own home, I think definitely like gardens, that first initial presentation or first impression for buyers, they might start doing drive-by as soon as they see it go live to the internet. Things like the gardens will always get mulch and tidy them up as well. Big expenses, say redoing an entire bathroom or a kitchen, if you were to put it on the market pretty quickly, it might not be worthwhile because you might do it to a certain taste, and then the buyer I've seen come in after someone's done that and they change it to their dream kitchen. So spending that money, you're not guaranteed to get it back, but smaller things like definitely touching up the paint, whether it's some flooring, repolishing the floorboards, things like that, just those initial tips I think can help from there.
Yeah, I remember the first property I sold was a unit, and I used Dave Williams, he's actually on the Sunshine Coast now, but Dave was just like, right, everything here on this kitchen bench, just get rid of all of it. It's all got to go. He goes, because less is more. Like, people are going to see, hey, you've got a unit here. If you've got things clutter and mess everywhere, they're going to go, it's a really small unit. But if you make it
and decluttering is the biggest thing. So the less you have, the bigger something feels. So we'll always go in, and if they've got 2 big 3-seater lounges, we might say, okay, well, it might be worthwhile removing one of them, put it down in the garage, or if you've got a family member's property to put that into. Might have a big 8-seater dining table. If there's an option, we could put a little 4-seater one there. It still shows that you've got that space for a dining lounge, but it really opens up and people get that feeling of space.
Yeah, because I think like ultimately what it is as well is that people don't have that imagination to see what it could be. I know like every property I've bought's always been the repairs that need to be done. We're just really simple, like painting and all that sort of stuff. And even if you pay someone to paint a house, like it could be $10,000 to $15,000. But I think I probably saved the last house I bought probably easily $100,000 because it presented horribly.
Yeah.
To me, that was fantastic. I went in there and went, I just get a few guys to come in here and fix this up and declutter and get rid of all their crap and paint it and make it all look nice, instead of having 5 different colours of paint in the house, which is actually what I bought. I had purple and pink and and then yellows and everything. I went very plain with white, but then that $10,000 I think I paid on paint just made it look a whole lot different.
A good example, I just sold an auction at 6 Wallen Street, Como 2 weeks ago. Those owners kind of moved out December over Christmas period. We had paint, the floorboards touched up, pressure washed outside, all the gardens done, and we had the property professionally styled. It was a big 4-bedroom, 3 living area home. The styling was getting up towards $10,000, but the most comparable sale to that home sold in November for $1,910,000. We took it to auction 2 weeks ago. It sold for $2,371,000. So it attracted a lot of people really falling in love with the property, getting emotionally engaged, and then competing on price. So I think it's definitely worthwhile having those presentations.
Yeah, I really like that. Like, I mean, staging, we've talked about that, but I think just that, I think you really hit the nail there. Emotionally engaged. Getting people, that's that falling in love. We see our family here, and that's where you're getting those premium prices from. Yeah, because they're connecting.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess like probably on that there as well, like if for our viewers who have an investment property and they've got a tenant in there, what should they do? Should they keep the tenant in there when they're going to sell? Should they remove the tenant? What's the pros and cons on?
I suppose every situation's different. We sell a lot of properties that are tenanted that might be investments that the owners don't even live in Sydney anymore and have seen that the market's good, so want to put it on the market. With that, I think it's a tenant out of a lease is going to be better for sale, because if it is, say, a unit and a first home buyer wants to move in there, or they might want to rent it out, you've kind of got the best of both worlds. If there's someone on a long lease, that might turn off a couple of people, which might be those buyers that want to move straight into it. So if you were coming up to selling your property, and you were kind of tossing up between the ideas, I'd just keep your tenant on an ongoing lease, so you've kind of got the best of both worlds there. I would always then go and meet with the tenant just to see how they've got it presented. They might be a family and they've got lots of things, and it might not appeal as much to that target market that we're looking for in the buyers. So if the time came and you really did want to put it on the market, it might be worthwhile giving them the notice. We would help them find a new property to rent, just do those tidy up things so we do get that best price. Or I might go down there and the tenant has it beautifully presented. They've been there for a while, and a lot of tenants do really look after the homes as well. They're happy to work with us with open times and things like that. Then I'd say, look, you're still getting that rental income. The tenant seems really good. We can always give them a small rental reduction to help us help them, and then keep them on there and then present it to the market that way.
Because we were talking before this video was shot about, I guess, what's legally required. Like, as a real estate agent, you can only do one viewing a week.
Yeah, the tenant only has to give us one showing per week, which is your standard Saturday open home. But it's very common that it might be, if it's a first home buyer unit, they want to bring their family back on, say, Tuesday night. That tenant can say no to us, so we're always trying to work in with them, and it can make it a little bit difficult. I love those properties where I've got the keys, it's all ready to go, even if someone's not living there, and I can show it every day. If someone calls up today while they're hot in the moment, really keen to see it, I can go straight down and show it. So it can always help that way.
So I guess ultimately, if you are going to get the tenant there, like, work with them, give them something, a reason to actually work with you, give you the best outcome, or otherwise, ask them to leave and stage it and make it look presentable so you can get the best return.
I've done it before where I really wanted to take someone back for a second look on a Tuesday night it was, and we gave the tenant a dinner voucher so they could go out, take the family for dinner. We could take the buyers back through, and they were the buyers that bought it. So it's just trying to work in with them.
Yeah, that's really smart actually. Yeah, it's because night time is just such a busy time with families and
and you've got to work in because that's their property. They're paying the rent and living there, so you've got to try to work in with them as well.
Yeah, cool. All right, Shane. Look, before we head off, mate, can you give us a bit of a shout out as to where people can find you, how they can trace you down so they can actually sell their property with you?
So Sanders Property Agents, my office is over in Janelli. I'm always contactable on my mobile 0413 656 117. Otherwise, realestate.com profile. It's got all the information there as well.
Great. All right. Well, Shane, thanks for the video today, and I really appreciate you giving us some know-how about everything property and how to get the best sale price.
Yeah, all good. All right. Thanks for having me.
Okay, see you guys, and thanks for watching.
Thanks.